It all starts with a number that just doesn't sound real: $104 million. That isn't the budget for a Hollywood blockbuster or the valuation of some new tech company. No, that's the estimated worth of what's hiding behind a set of plain, anonymous-looking hangar doors at the Burbank Airport in California. This isn't just any garage. It's a place that's become a legend, a private kingdom of chrome and steel that for years has felt more like a myth than a real place. This is the Big Dog Garage. It's Jay Leno's personal automotive sanctuary, a collection so huge and so important that it completely redefines what it means to be a car collector. We've all heard the rumors of cars that are literally priceless, of experimental machines that were never supposed to see the light of day, and of a workshop that can bring automotive ghosts back to life. But what really happens when those doors finally swing open? What they found inside wasn't just a bunch of cars. It was a time capsule, a library of engineering, and proof of one man's obsession. What they found is unbelievable. Before we go any further, you have to get your head around the sheer scale of this place. Forget about some dark garage with a few nice cars. The Big Dog Garage is a massive, 140,000 square foot complex of connected aircraft hangars, hiding in plain sight at the Hollywood Burbank Airport. From the outside, you'd never know it was there. There's no big sign, no velvet rope. And that secrecy is what's been fueling the legend for decades. The collection isn't open to the public. Getting inside is a rare privilege, usually saved for charity events or a few lucky automotive insiders. Inside, it's like a small city built for cars. At last count, the collection was home to over 181 cars and more than 160 motorcycles. But don't picture a sterile museum with dusty exhibits. This is a living, breathing place. Every single vehicle runs. Every single one is ready to go. Jay's philosophy is simple, and it's one he's lived by for years: if it has an engine, it deserves to be driven. He's not a collector in the normal sense, he's more of a custodian. He's famous for saying, "You don't buy the car so much as you buy the story." And believe me, every car in here has a story. Powering this whole operation is a full-time crew of master mechanics, fabricators, and restoration wizards. The workshop is the real heart of the garage. It's a state-of-the-art facility that's part machine shop, part science lab, and part history class. They have machines that can build parts from scratch, whether it's a simple bracket for a 100-year-old car or a complex piece for a modern supercar. And they need it, because for many of these vehicles, the parts just don't exist anymore. The team can handle anything, from the delicate, fussy mechanics of a steam engine to the brain-melting electronics of a McLaren P1. It's this dedication, not just to saving automotive history, but to actively keeping it running, that makes the Big Dog Garage different from any other collection on Earth. It's a place where history isn't just stored, it's kept alive, one piston stroke at a time. And this isn't just about money. Sure, Jay Leno's net worth is estimated at a mind-boggling $450 million, but he's always said he lives on his comedy money, not his TV cash. This garage is where his real passion is, an automotive empire that might just be more impressive than his entire late-night legacy. The second you step through the doors, the sheer number of cars is just overwhelming. But it's not the most expensive or the rarest cars that you see first. Instead, you're hit with a wave of pure Americana. And that's on purpose. It's a way to ground you in the familiar roar of a V8 and the classic lines of Detroit steel. This is where the Real journey begins, with the cars that defined a generation. There are rows of Corvettes, from the beautiful C1S all the way to the world-beating modern C8S. Just a few steps away, you'll find perfect examples of Ford Mustangs and Shelby Cobras, each one a perfectly preserved soldier from the horsepower wars. But when you look a little closer, the real stories start to pop out. Take his 1955 Buick Roadmaster, for instance. This wasn't some flashy auction buy. It was the first real car he bought after moving to California, the car that kicked off his obsession and set him on the path to becoming one of the world's greatest collectors. He still owns it, a humble but powerful reminder of where it all started. Then you stumble on something like his 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado. Today, it's a cool classic, but maybe a little overlooked. Back then, it was revolutionary. A huge, front-wheel drive luxury car with a massive V8. But of course, Leno's isn't stock. He actually worked with General Motors to completely re-engineer it into a rear-wheel drive monster, basically just to see if they could do it. It's that spirit of curiosity, of what if, that you feel all over the collection, but maybe the most telling car in this whole section is one that wasn't built for speed or for style. It's his 1941 American LaFrance fire truck. This isn't just some gimmick. During one of California's terrible wildfires, this fully functional, V12, powered truck was actually put into service and became a hero vehicle that helped protect his own neighborhood. It's the ultimate proof of his philosophy. These machines aren't just pretty things to look at, they're powerful tools that are meant to be used. As you walk deeper, you start to find the Hollywood icons. There's a 1932 Ford that was once owned by the king of Hollywood himself, Clark Gable. And tucked in with the American classics is a car with a story of celebrity, style, and a little bit of drama. A gorgeous 1967 Lamborghini Miura P400, worth about $3.5 million. This isn't just any Miura. Its first owner was the legendary Rat Pack crooner, Dean Martin. As the story goes, Martin was driving on Sunset Boulevard and got into a fight with his girlfriend's daughter, who then threw the keys right out the window. The car just sat there for days before it was finally found. It's the perfect example of what Jay looks for, not just a car, but the incredible story that comes with it. Once you leave the American iron behind, you walk into a totally different world. The lighting feels different, and the cars get sleeker, more exotic. This is the European wing, a tribute to the old-world craftsmanship and incredible engineering from names that just scream performance: Porsche, Lamborghini, and McLaren. The first car that completely grabs your attention is a Silver Bullet, a car so legendary it defined a generation of supercars. The Porsche Carrera GT, Leno's is, as you'd expect, flawless. He often talks about how raw and analog it is. It has a V10 engine originally built for Le Mans, a manual gearbox, and almost no electronic safety nets. In a world of paddle shifters and driver assists, he sees it as one of the last truly great driver's cars, a machine that demands your full respect and skill. Driving it, he says, is an event. Not far from it sits its modern rival, the McLaren P1. As a hybrid hypercar with almost 1,000 horsepower, the P1 represents the absolute cutting edge of car technology. Having a Carrera GT and a P1 in the same room is like having a Rembrandt and a Picasso hanging side by side. They come from two different eras and two different mindsets, but they're both chasing the exact same thing: ultimate speed. But the crown jewel of this section, and you could argue, of the entire modern collection, is another McLaren. It's the car that, for more than a decade, was the fastest production car in the world, the 1994 McLaren F1. Only 106 were ever made, and only 64 were road cars like Jay's. When it was brand new, it cost $815,000. Today, a good one is worth around $20 million. Leno's F1 was the very first one brought into the United States, and he has a special connection to it. Unlike a lot of F1 owners who keep them locked up like investments, Jay drives his a lot. It's one of the highest mileage F1s on the planet, a fact that might make some collectors cringe, but to Jay, it's a badge of honor. He believes cars are meant to be experienced, and yet, even with all these titans of speed, some of the best stories come from quieter cars. There's a 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing, a car born on the racetrack that many, including Jay, consider the world's first supercar. Its iconic doors and race-bred engineering made it a legend overnight. But if you ask Jay what his absolute favorite car in the whole collection is, he won't point to the $20 million McLaren. He'll point to his 1972 Mercedes-Benz 600 Compressor. This was a car built with a blank check, using a crazy hydraulic system to power everything from the windows to the trunk. It was luxurious, but at over 3 tons, it was slow. So, Jay did what Jay does. He strapped a giant supercharger, a compressor, to it, boosting the power to over 525 horsepower. He turned a silent, stately limousine into a roaring sleeper. It's the perfect summary of this garage, a place where history is respected, but where there's always room for a little bit of madness. Going even deeper into the garage feels like traveling back in time. The sleek shapes of supercars are replaced by the brass, wood, and iron of a totally forgotten era. This is where the collection really shows its depth, highlighting the wild, experimental, and sometimes dead-end ideas in car history. This is the world of steam, electricity, and bizarre machines that are hard to even categorize. One of the first things you'll see is a 1909 Baker Electric. Back when gas engines were loud, dirty, and a pain to start, the Baker was clean, quiet, and simple. It was even marketed to women for being so elegant and practical. It's a fascinating look at a future that could have been, and a reminder that electric cars are not a new idea, but the real showstoppers in this section are the steamers. Leno is fascinated by steam power because of its insane torque and nearly silent operation. His 1906 Stanley steamer was once one of the fastest cars on the planet, powered by nothing but hot water. The true masterpiece, though, is his 1925 Doble E20 steam car. The Doble was the absolute peak of steam technology, so powerful it could outrun most gas cars of its day. But it's also incredibly complicated. Jay's own Doble had an engine failure so bad that he got discouraged and just parked the car in a corner for 5 years. The restoration was a monumental job. The engine basically works like a tankless water heater, with 600 feet of coiled pipes that have to be heated to 3,000 degrees to create pressure. A tiny split in one of those coils required a master fabricator to pull off a repair that few workshops in the world could even dream of attempting. Finishing that restoration is a perfect example of his team's incredible skill and Jay's refusal to give up on history. And then, you see the car that looks like it came from another planet, the 1963 Chrysler Turbine. This car wasn't powered by pistons, it was powered by a jet engine. It could run on almost anything that burns: kerosene, diesel, and as Chrysler famously claimed, even tequila or perfume. Chrysler only built 55 of them and loaned them out to the public in a wild experiment. But in the end, they decided the tech was too complicated and crushed almost all of them. Jay got his hands on one of the 9 survivors. For years, it was one of the only running examples left, until its own complex engine failed. The parts to fix it simply didn't exist. It took over a decade, but Jay actually commissioned the company founded by the engine's original designer to build a brand new turbine from the old blueprints. The project brought back engineers who had worked on the car 60 years ago. Getting it running again was nothing short of a modern engineering miracle. We've seen American muscle, European exotics, and now these incredible engineering oddities. Each one has a story that could fill a book. It makes you wonder, if you could get behind the wheel of just one car from this section, the silent Baker Electric, the powerful Doble steamer, or the jet-powered Chrysler Turbine, which one would you choose? Let us know your pick in the comments below. The weirder the choice, the better. Now we're entering the inner sanctum. This part of the garage just feels different. It's quieter, almost like a church. This is where the cars live that aren't just rare, they're automotive royalty. These are the machines that are basically unattainable. This is the kingdom of Bugatti. The first ones to grab your eye are the racers. A 1928 Bugatti Type 37A and a 1931 Bugatti Type 51 are sitting there, monuments to a time of heroic motorsports. These were Grand Prix legends, light, powerful, and built like fine watches. Each one is a multi-million-dollar piece of racing history, but they're just the warm-up act. In the center of the room sits a car that many consider the most beautiful and valuable automobile ever made, the 1936 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic. Only 4 were ever built. Its design was from another world, with a signature riveted seam running down its spine. That seam was a feature left over from a prototype made of a magnesium alloy that was too hard to weld. The production cars were aluminum, so they didn't need the rivets, but the design was so beautiful they kept it anyway. Of the 4 cars built, only 3 are still around today. One belongs to fashion designer Ralph Lauren. Another, known as La Voiture Noire, or the Black Car, was Jean Bugatti's personal vehicle and vanished around 1938, becoming the car world's greatest unsolved mystery. The third is in a museum. The last time one of these sold, it went for over $30 million. Today, its value is simply priceless. Now, it's really important to be clear here, Jay's car is a perfect recreation. It's a project he's owned for over 30 years. It was built on a real Bugatti chassis with a real Bugatti engine, but the body was recreated by a master craftsman to be an exact copy. He's always upfront about it, but owning this car allows him, and all of us through his show, to experience what is arguably the peak of automotive art, and as if a priceless Bugatti wasn't enough, this is also where you find the cars that just defy logic. There's a 1930 Bentley so massive it seems impossible. Why? Because under its ridiculously long hood is a 27-liter Rolls-Royce Merlin aircraft engine. That's right, the same V-12 engine that powered World War II fighter planes. This 3-ton monster makes around 700 horsepower and a ridiculous amount of torque. And yet, thanks to a